This is 7 News.
Tonight, firefighters battle a large bushfire as flames rage for a second day. Thousands rally for peace in France as survivors of the deadly attacks tell their horrifying stories. And the shark that stalked a boat off the WA coast.
That is one big white pointer.
From the studios of 7 Perth, Samantha Jolly.
Good evening. We begin with the fire emergency unfolding for a second day in our northern suburbs. As we go to air, there is an emergency warning in place after a wind change this afternoon. The fire started between Railway Parade and Gully Road and is travelling northwest. Rob Scott has been covering the latest developments. And Rob, what are conditions like out there tonight?
Well, Sam, it's been in the low 30s all day today, but it's felt so much hotter than that. And that, combined with some strong and gusty winds, has made firefighting conditions incredibly difficult, particularly the wind change which swept through around midday today, a southwesterly change which has pushed the fire front in a northerly direction directly towards Evacuee. A slight variation from that and the fire could head towards Chittering. Firefighters say if it does head towards Chittering, there is some very dense bush in that area, bush which has not been burned for some 49 years. If the flames hit that dense bushland, it's going to be incredibly difficult, if not impossible, for them to control, and then residents in and around Chittering and Evacuee could be in some serious danger. At the moment, the blaze here in Bullsbrook is not contained and it's not controlled either. And you may just be able to make out behind me in the distance some plumes of smoke. That's from a fire burning in the RAAF area, a fire which has been burning all day and one which firefighters have not been able to get on top of. An ominous glow lit up the night sky, signalling the danger that raged in Bullsbrook. The eerie warning on the horizon attracting a crowd some 20 kilometres away from the fire ground. Today, that glow was replaced by massive plumes of smoke, flare-ups that firefighters battled to keep pace with. So far, more than 100 homes have been saved, but 2 derelict houses and 5 sheds were lost to the flames.
We went to bed last night not knowing whether we were going to have a house this morning or not.
Police believe this is where the fire started yesterday morning, a property off Railway Parade in Bullsbrook. Officers are investigating whether metalwork being carried out at the time is the cause.
I'm confident from the conversation I had with the arson squad last night that the fire was not deliberately lit.
Fanned by 50-kilometre-an-hour winds, the blaze quickly tore through dry grass surrounding the property and spread 18 kilometres to the west by evening and then into the Nangara pine plantation.
Whereabouts is your house?
Right in the middle of that, probably. So, yeah, it was pretty close when we evacuated at 6:30 last night.
The flames easily outpaced machinery trying to create fire breaks. By 2 this morning, the danger level was downgraded, but the blaze was still out of control. With a southwesterly wind change forecast for this afternoon, firefighters were on edge.
If we don't have anything there to actually run around, it could grow quite quickly on that wind.
By 2 p.m, the emergency warning had been upgraded for people in Bullsbrook again, with authorities warning homes would be under threat for a second time. Part of the problem firefighters are facing today is a lot of this fire ground is actually on Air Force land, which is littered with unexploded ordnance, which means they can't drive their trucks onto it. The only way to attack the blaze is from the air. Where they could, crews shored up containment lines, while at the same time putting out spot fires and dealing with constant flare-ups. The wind change means there's now a risk the long northern flank of the fire could become the new head and push north into suburbs, including Evacuee and Chittering, putting more homes and lives in imminent danger. Rob Scott, 7 News.
Residents affected by the fire emergency are being told by authorities to remain patient. Dozens camped inside 2 evacuation centres last night, anxiously waiting for updates. Many are still unable to return home because of roadblocks.
It was a long and anxious night for the 100 people who slept inside this evacuation centre in Quinns Rocks near Joondalup, not knowing if their homes would be standing when they woke up. Some braved it outside overnight, keeping their pets company.
I slept in the back of the ute last night because we took our dogs with us and they were carrying on a fair bit.
The George family from Alkimos live one street back from the bush, directly in line with where the fire was heading. They and their neighbours were told to evacuate last night.
At 6 o'clock, we could see the ash falling on the driveway when we got home, and so then just started watching the website from there.
Good news filtered through at 2 a.m. The fire had been downgraded from an emergency warning. Some were allowed to return home. For others, the situation is now worse. Today's wind change is pushing the fire towards properties, including the Smiths' home in Carabooda.
We're still in the path, right in the path, so our road's still closed. We can't get home. So we've left our goats. So I'm a bit worried about them.
Yesterday, the bushfire emergency presented logistical problems for livestock and animals. These camels had to be walked 5 kilometres to safety.
We organised a truck to come in to load them up and take them to the Musha yards, but they wouldn't allow the truck to come in.
Midday today, there are still 10 roadblocks in place. The advice from authorities is that if the way is clear, then it's safe to return home. Authorities today wouldn't put a time frame on when roads will be reopened.
The areas are closed down for a reason. There's a lot of heavy machinery. There's still fire in the area.
Fire's gone past, and now I want to get back in, and I can't. I came to the meeting, but I can't get back into my own home now.
The other problem tonight for some in this area, 150 homes across Bullsbrook, Pinjar and Neerabup are without power. Rebecca O'Donovan, 7 News. And Grant Wynne has been at a community meeting at Quinns. Grant, have any affected residents been able to return home?
Sam, not at this stage. Fire authorities had hoped that might be possible this afternoon, but at the meeting they made it clear that people won't be getting back to their homes tonight. Now, that may be frustrating for some people, but DFS say they want to make absolutely sure that the area is safe before letting people back in. There's some 120 power poles that have been brought down by the fire and many more trees which have been burnt and could give way. Now, police used the meeting to reassure those residents in those affected areas that they have stepped up patrols and have the area well locked down to make sure no one has any unwanted visitors.
And Grant, have police been able to pinpoint the cause of the blaze?
Well, I can confirm tonight that police are looking into whether a spark from an angle grinder ignited some very dry grass at a property on Railway Parade. Detectives from the arson squad's Strike Force Vulcan have been focusing their investigation on an area where some metal work was being done yesterday morning. Now, I should point out the arson squad's involvement doesn't necessarily indicate any deliberate act. They are keeping an open mind and are keen to hear from anyone in the vicinity of Railway Parade yesterday morning. Sam?